Call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and Panel.
Good morning to you. It is Coffee and Time here on ON AM and FM. Monday morning, it is June 30th. 3rd. Wow, June 30th already. We skipped right over the entire month. Here we go. It's June 3rd, actually, in the year 2024. This is Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us this morning. John Ward has joined us here at the Coffee and Table. Hi, John.
Good morning, everyone.
Nice to have you
This
here.
is a Monday, first Monday in June.
That's right.
Time for City Council meeting.
We're going to get to that in just a minute.
Yes, we will.
Dave Richards is here. Good morning to you, Dave.
I am? Oh, hi there. How are you?
So, but more important than the City Council meeting, John.
Oh, wait a
Yes.
minute.
You believe there's
What
something
could be
more-
more important than
Oh,
that?
I know.
The
what it is.
blue-throated guans have returned to Roger Williams Zoo. Yes, they escaped
And not
last
of their
week.
own
On their
volition
own?
either.
No, they didn't go very far. Not a very bright bird, and but we didn't realize it until this morning. It's a father and son
Oh.
birds, and they went about 100 miles.
went on walkabout.
They went on walkabout.
Where are they originally from? I was just
Roger Williams Park?
Well, originally the birds from Colombia and Venezuela, that
So they
area.
wouldn't have gone for a walkabout. That's Australia.
That's Australia, yeah. But
It's a term.
they found them, and they've been returned to Roger Williams Zoo. So everybody's happy. I don't know about the birds, but
They should be happy.
They should be. They're going to get their free food. So hey.
Speaking of happy,
Melissa Murray's joined us here at the Coffee and Table. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here with us as well. And but now, okay, back to John. Okay, City Council meeting tonight. Looks like a pretty decent agenda for this evening.
yeah, except there might be some disappointment because with a couple of corrections and changes or things that were done to the budget over the course of the last couple of weeks, there's a high probability that it will not get a final passage this evening because there are still questions to be ironed out. The introduction of the information on the CDBG program has us looking at things that may want to move from one to the other or vice versa. And so there's a lot of questions that council members have expressed concerns over with me, and so it may end up being tabled for all of the annual budget items. So I just don't want people to think that we're going to finalize it.
Okay.
We probably won't. Not that it's a bad thing, not that it's a bad omen. It's just what it
Just
is.
not this time.
Not this time.
Okay.
At least that's the way it seems.
Of course, the most
But
important,
other than that,
most important thing, are you going to approve Autumn Fest this year? I ask this every year.
no, I'm sure we won't.
Do
I know there's a
you
lot.
know how you'll vote?
What do you think?
I know it's a
No, we're
It's an
just,
ac- it's
we're
an
just
academic thing, I
replacing
know.
that stage
Yeah,
for laughs,
for nothing.
Joe.
Yeah, we'll allow it. You just won't allow you to make any noise.
okay. Let's
That's
keep
right.
let's
Keep
keep
those
it down.
fireworks turned low.
That's right.
8 p.m.
Although
8 p.m.
speaking of fireworks, there may be some impetus to the question that was raised and the idea that was raised, and Councilwoman Gonzalez mentioned, and I've talked with others now who say that it's probably a very good idea, is that they've started to replace fireworks around the world with drone-controlled laser shows.
Drone shows, yeah.
That are rather impressive, apparently.
I
And
see.
also rather
I was
expensive.
going to say.
No, they're less expensive than the fireworks, I'm told.
I guess it all depends on the show.
'Cause of the
Depending on what you buy,
insurance.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah, it does save a little insurance, but
And I know
it's
on-
something that may come up in the future.
I know Autumn
Or-
Fest has looked at it, you know, but it was kind of cost prohibitive
Oh,
at
it was?
the time.
Okay.
Maybe things have changed, so
Maybe.
it's time for a second look and see how things go. So, but that's
So, yes,
something for down the road.
Autumn Fest will probably
Yes, probably get approval.
taken care of. Something
7-0.
Who
Okay,
hates
Joe.
Autumn Fest, Joe?
Are you a paid lobbyist?
No.
So something near and dear to Melissa's heart. We are going to have a where is it? You mentioned it.
I did.
Public hearing on show cause of alleged violation of Woonsocket Consumer Short-Term Lenders License Ordinance by Advance America, because we set up a license for the payday lenders, as it were, licensing control.
They were
that
not
has-
amused?
Has to be done through the city clerk's office, and this company that has been doing business has
Let me guess. They were
has
non-compliant.
despite notification, failed to come in to get their license
Wow.
or be compliant. And so there was a thought that because they never obtained the license, we could just shut them down. But of course,
No.
there are laws involved.
Oh, well, yeah.
And therefore, there are lawyers involved, and therefore, it's not
You can't do it.
as
Yeah.
ever not that
It's
simple.
not that black and white.
So we are, as a prudent measure, holding a show cause hearing to give them appropriate
time.
opportunity to defend their choice to not apply for a license, and we welcome them to the meeting to come talk to us about that.
How do you defend that?
I don't
The
know.
city says you must have this. Come and get it.
Well, we never
Well,
used to have it
you see, the
before.
problem.
Whatever
see,
that, yeah.
here-
right.
here's, I'm going to speculate here. and
Right.
I'm not a lawyer, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and I didn't play one on TV. But here's what I see happening. Just a guess,
All right.
purely a guess. They don't apply. We do a show cause hearing. We deny them the right to do business
Uh huh.
in that capacity if they don't show up. They then file a petition in Superior Court claiming the local city government has no authority to regulate that business in this way, and the fight is on.
And in the meantime, they can stay open.
Because they know that the General Assembly has not yet been able to muster the votes to pass a state statute where there is jurisdiction, for sure.
That true, Melissa?
But that doesn't
well-
that can't seem, that struggles still to get the bill through.
It's not exactly true that there aren't the votes. There are the floor votes. Overwhelmingly, there are the floor votes. It just hasn't come to the floor.
Ah,
gets-
all right.
So it's
getting killed
it's
in the
lacking
committees.
lacking in committee votes or direction from leadership to make it so, as Captain Picard would say.
Make it so. But in the meantime,
but-
they stay in business, right?
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Just guessing.
Yeah.
So the minute they
Okay.
file something in court,
Everything stops.
no
You can't do
restrictive
anything.
work can be done, and so I suspect we will be blocked. I'm speculating, but I think I've been around long enough to see these
You've seen
things
it happen
play out.
before. Okay.
So, but we're going to have the show cause hearing and ask them to appear and tell us why they didn't bother to apply.
And they won't be there.
And we
More
don't
than
know whether
likely.
they'll be there.
Okay.
They're
They might.
invited to be there.
Will they? Could they send their lawyer?
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I think if they're intending to take it to court over jurisdiction, they probably wouldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Just let us do what we do and then file in court.
Okay.
But, and then, moving on, we have going to be receiving, as part of the consent agenda, the communication from the auditors that everybody by now has heard about, where they decided to no longer continue with the audit or their contract, which actually had them auditing fiscal year 24 too.
They decided to quit. Yeah.
They decided to quit. And all of the assertions and accusations are flying. I just simply suggest that people, if they're interested, go online, hook up to the link. The letter's there. You can read it. It's though the council is blamed, the council certainly is not the foundational reasons that have been growing over the course of the last 2 years leading up to what got us here. And frankly, if everything was being done on time and we had a meeting with the auditors and a counselor said something like, has the the former mayor communicated in such a way that would influence what you did, it would end up being more of a chuckle and let me teach you what independence means to certified public accounting firms. Not a, you have no right to even ask that question and I'm going to quit. That only happens when frustration levels have risen so high that for a lack of responsiveness and lack of ability to respond and a lack of an open communication system, that this becomes just that maybe that straw that broke the camel's back, but it doesn't mean that it was avoiding or be the premise for the problem. It's just one more thing, and they spelled out many things. So we have to, apparently, they've been spoken with and they're determined not to return, so we'll have to go out and solicit proposals from other firms to do the work. It'll likely cost more money, which I'm sure some will want to blame on the city council and specific members, but that is completely a case of misdirection if anyone dares to do it, because I've seen a couple of our local issues. Lincoln went to bid for their auditors, and for the next 3 years, and there were no responses.
Really?
And Smithfield went to bid, and they got 2 responses. Both of them were well outside of their budget, so they need to go out to bid again, or find a way to get see if they can get a better price. And for the town of Smithfield, one of their bids was up in the upper 90,000s, and the other ones was in the middle 90,000s, where we're currently paying in the 80,000s. So my expectation is that when we do get a response, we're going to be paying probably somewhere between 110 and 125,000.
Yeah.
Which is, 30-some thousand more than we pay now, if that were to happen. But I think it's just market driven. There's a lot of firms that are struggling to get employees and staff, and they're all, like so many other places, it's difficult to do. And to deal with someone who's late and trying to rush to get something done is not the best way to be conducting business, so you spend more resource getting it done. So we expect a higher price. I'm not blaming anybody but the economy and the fact that we have to go to bid now, and the tardiness that came about as a result of the mayhem in City Hall in the past administration.
Can you look for a firm that's outside of Rhode Island? Is that
They have to be licensed within the state of Rhode Island with the
Okay.
Department of Business Regulation as a qualified firm. Not only that, in order to do a government audit where you do a single audit on federal programs, you have to have a special qualification with your continuing education specific to government. It's called the Yellow Book guidebook on how to do government audits, and you have to be specially credentialed to do government audits. So it's a limited pool of companies that
I
will
bet.
do it. I'm going to suggest, when it comes to it, that the administration, instead of just putting an ad out like so often happens, to specifically identify through the Rhode Island Society of CPAs who the qualified firms are, and to direct the solicitation right
Right
to
to them.
each of every one of them,
Yeah.
to see if there's interest or how much interest is out there, and invite them to participate. So that's coming up with that. We have another report on Cass Park, where it looks like the net proceeds after expenses so far is in the middle 300,000s range that came in. And then we have the old business from last meeting, where there's just second passage on several things: the Thunder Mist plant, the contract, the zoning ordinance for the downtown overlay district expansion, and funding of some street repair. And then you've got all of your budget ordinances. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that include setting up the maximum number of employees and the various salary ordinances. Those, as I said, will likely be tabled because there's a lot of questions. We've had revisions come at us, and so, and the CDBG budget draft proposal has been shared with the council. So there are people with questions about what's where. Specific areas are like aging well and the operation of the senior center and how much resource is being dedicated there and what it's going to be dedicated to. There's issues about education funding that came up at our meeting last Thursday.
Yes.
With
yes.
the school committee, and that was a good meeting. And we came to recognize the shortcomings in the governor's proposed budget, and thankfully, when the negotiations was over, the speaker and the Senate president and the governor agreed that they're going to restore the formula back to the old flawed formula. But at least it's better than what the governor's proposal
Lesser
was
of
by a lot.
lesser of two evils.
So
Well,
yes, it really
yeah.
is. But it's probably at $1.7 million maybe that goes into the city's
More than-
formula than before. And I did hear multi-language learner numbers were increased too in here, and
That's
I
correct.
I
That'll
don't know if
have
that
some
was a
effect on
formula
us.
base or just some allocation of funds. Pardon me, Dave?
That'll have some effect for us.
Oh, yes,
It
it
will.
does. And so that's a good message to receive, that there's going to be funding that we weren't thinking would be available. But there's still some desire or interest in discussing providing for more local funds. And that's certainly going to be up for discussion. And then there's a whole variety of things. I'm particularly focused on all the operational expenses that are using ARPA funds, that I'd like to sort of redirect more to the capital-based or long-term things rather than the annual things, because then it becomes a less difficult in future years to deal with how we fund those operational expenses. I mean,
All right, hold that thought for a minute. Go take a break. We're going to come back to this. More coming up here on the Coffee and program. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
ON Radio.
It's Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us this morning. Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards, Melissa Murray, and John Ward, President of the Woonsocket City Council. Just talking about the agenda for tonight's Woonsocket City Council meeting. Back to your thought. No,
I'll start with, sorry it's taking so long. What was my thought?
something about speakers. And,
Mary? Oh.
not that thought. Other things that are going on at the city
Are they
council
big
meeting
speakers
tonight.
with woofers and everything?
Yes,
or-
they are.
Yeah, okay.
That good bass in there.
It's all about that bass, you know.
I'm lost. So we have some new ordinances that will, oh no, I'm sorry, there's still some other ordinances that are coming around for the second time. For personnel ordinance, a small business facade program, grant program, a deed restriction that was discussed last meeting, and parking traffic ordinance. Wow, on to the new business. We have a couple of items that will be tabled because they're appropriation ordinances for ARPA funds, one having to do with licensing, online licensing services through the city clerk's office to procure the software and the subscription for that software. And they did some upgrades to security in the finance and treasury department. And they've noticed that people sort of hang at the window, look through the window, so they're going to be buying some security film so that you don't really see inside the window there.
Well, that's a good idea.
For the peace of mind and safety of the employees,
Right.
especially when you have a stack of cash on the desk. It's not something you want everybody walking by to see.
I got to count that later.
Let me see. We're going to be considering eliminating the non-utilization tax on real property that Rhode Island Housing and Mortgage Finance holds an interest in when they assist families and others by taking a tax title to a property, which they have the right to do prior to a tax sale. The former administration was whacking them with non-utilization tax if they weren't redeveloping it quickly enough or selling it or such. And their process is not quite as clean and simple as everyone else's because oftentimes they're involved in many other aspects of dealing with the property and the residents before they can get around to that. And so they stopped doing business in Woonsocket. And so we're trying to get them to get more involved in assisting with housing, especially affordable housing.
It's been a long time. It's been over 20
Existing
years that they
affordable
haven't
housing.
been doing business with us.
With how many?
No, it's been over 20 years that they haven't been doing business in
I don't know if
Woonsocket.
it's 20 years.
Yeah?
No, I thought it was basically...
I remember this from ancient times. We're on Social Street and they wouldn't come in.
I'm not so sure about that.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
I thought it had something to do with getting whacked with non-utilization taxes. That they said we're not in this to play that game.
All right,
And-
maybe my
and
memory
other
is
cities,
faulty.
other cities.
I
have
remember the
exempt-
story from a long time
Other
ago.
cities have exempted them, and I have some other problems with non-utilization tax on some issues that have come up in other areas that I'm struggling with. The fact that there were non-utilization taxes imposed on people who were stuck in a situation over which they had no control. So that's another discussion for another time. Let me see. There's an ordinance to eliminate permit fees for outdoor cafes that are allowed in zoning. And then the award of a contract for the Visit Woonsocket website that's got to be developed using grant funds, and a resolution establishing the Call as the official newspaper, and then a couple of the usual granting of permission to use property and award a contract for to construct the River Island Art Park stage, which, by the way, is pretty much, I haven't figured this out. I got to compare the two stages. In this case, it's going to suck up all the money we appropriated out of ARPA to do much more than that in the park. So if it's using all the money just for the stage, something else may have to be considered for how to deal with the rest of the issues. The one you will see me abstain on one vote tonight, and that's my fundamental objection to having the city council have control over designating the newspaper, the official newspaper, to publish legal notices.
Right.
And it's not that it's anything against the call. It's that I don't consider something like that to be a council jurisdictional issue.
Whose
really.
jurisdiction should it be?
It's administrative. When you have to put ads in the paper for legal notices, you go out and you find two things: best price and based on circulation.
Okay.
We got to get it out and notify as many people as possible. So if you want to notify as many people as possible, you do it, and you do it within the legal requirements. There's some legal notices have date requirements and repetition, so that it's awkward to put it in a weekly paper. So you need a daily paper. Others maybe could use a weekly paper, but it's something we should be deciding each on their own merits, and not saying this is the council saying this is the paper. And I always remember that the reason this exists is because a couple of people were trying to compete with the call back in the day, and the council was doing it with a resolution, but I guess maybe somebody thought they didn't have authority, so it was proposed as a charter amendment back in 2001, and it passed. And so now it's a
Now you have to
requirement that
deem
you
it.
got to do it every June, and it's like it's
And
to
only use them.
well, I don't think so. I think it means you must at least use them.
Oh, okay.
See, to my mind, it's not prudent to use just one
one.
newspaper in all cases, because it doesn't necessarily make sense, depending on what you're trying to notify, to what you're trying to notice. I mean, so it may be that you use the call and you use the
All right.
breeze.
But
And
then
then
why-
you do
but-
everything in your power to avoid the journal because they're so expensive.
But why abstain? Why not just vote no?
I just don't think it's something that belongs in the charter. I tried to convince the charter review board to put in a proposal to delete that section. Frankly, I don't want to. I don't want to vote no as though I'm voting against the call.
okay.
So you just don't vote
Don't
because
vote at
it's
all.
like the premise is wrong, and I still think the premise is wrong. It's sort of like Dan Gendron. Every time there's a motion to allow someone to do a tag day, he votes no. He doesn't vote no because he objects to the people doing it. He votes no because he objects to the concept.
Okay.
So that's what an abstention's for, right? Or you vote.
You don't wanna vote.
Or you vote present. I always like present.
We call it a walk.
A walk. You can do that too. Just don't go
Some
near
people
the.
literally
don't,
do that.
Don't
they
go.
get up and walk away?
Don't touch that button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you leave my
They're
button alone.
magically gone, and then they come back for the next vote. Where were they?
How about that? Well, they had to
How
go to the
about
bathroom.
Walk.
You know?
That's good.
Conveniently at
Convenient at that time. Okay. All right.
And sometimes the restrooms are much further away than other
Yeah.
times.
That's
yeah,
right.
to
Well,
wait,
One
yeah,
was
yeah.
occupied, so they had to walk to the other end of the Okay.
So, and then we have some discussion, as the Public Works Director is going to do his usual discussion of various things. The one that's got my interest piqued is the fact that he's mentioning 1067 Mendon Road. And when I looked up 1067 Mendon Road, that's the office building, formerly the house that the Mayu family owned, right next door to CVS. And I can't for the life of me figure out what he's planning to talk about. But it's there, and it's on the agenda. So
Okay.
I suppose I could call him today and ask him what that's about, but I think it'll be more exciting
wanna
if
be-
I just
be a
wait
surprise.
and be surprised. And I'm going to mention the land purchase investigation because
It's still going.
breaking news.
Breaking news.
No, I spoke with the investigator. What day is today? Monday.
Monday, it's
On
June
Friday, and I queried him because he said he was going to be working on the draft, and he said it would probably take a couple of weeks. And when I updated myself with him on Friday. He was working it. He told me he's got some loose ends to tie up, and that he should likely be able to meet late this week with some members of the council or the council in a closed session first to go over the report in detail at some point, probably the week after this one, which means the week following, or maybe at our next regular meeting, he will be able to do a public presentation on the agenda, televised,
All right.
which is the way I think it should be done as we wrap it up. But it is wrapped up, and I'll be discussing that tonight and pointing it out to the public. They can look forward to seeing the outcome, and then I think we'll go to the website and take all that mishmash off that was put on the website, on the council's website, as a link, and simply link the report there, the final product that comes out, to explain in a more storytelling way how things happen. Just a little more understandable, I think, or should be. And his job
All right.
will be done, and then I won't put it on the agenda every meeting.
Okay. All right. Any questions for John before I ask him a question?
He's doing an ample job of explaining everything.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
I'm trying to. This is brevity. One last thing before the 8:30 break, and we learn about how great the weather's going to be, is I put down water meter replacement bid solicitation, and I'm going to be asking that question simply because I was looking at the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank website, and they had an announcement about the fact that they had granted Woonsocket's application for $5 million to do water meter replacement, which has been talked about ever since ARPA first came out, and it got put into ARPA, then taken out of ARPA because Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank has a forgiveness program that was put in place where a portion of the borrowing can be forgiven over time, and it was done in January. And not having heard anything, I just wonder what the status of that is, when they expect to go out and solicit bids to do the citywide water meter replacement. So I'll
Okay.
hope we get an answer for that tonight.
All right. Now, John, we're going to have the mayor on Coffee and coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'll ask him this question too. That I'm going to ask you. Do you want to respond to the situation last week where the mayor basically blamed the city council for the auditor quitting?
Well, you can look forward to a letter to the editor that I submitted to the Valley Breeze that should be in this Thursday's paper. I take exception to it. As I pointed out, if you look at the letter, there are four specific things that they mention, and I think they point to some reasons for some severe frustration, and I think combined with some of their internal issues, there's much more to this story than this simple letter. But the fact is, they've been waiting, and this is now the second year in a row that we're out into the middle of the summer of the next year, not having done the previous year's audit. June of 22 was only completed in July of 23. I don't think I saw an actual report until September of 23, which is due actually within 6 months after the year is up. Now we're into 23, and it's the middle of 24, and clearly it would not have been done much before July, August, or September. Similar situation. And so they were very frustrated because they had to attend a meeting every month with the Auditor General and the staff of the City Hall, and there was the waiting, being told it's coming, waiting, being told it's coming, waiting, being told it's coming. Then there's what was said at the meeting turns out to be like the fifth item or the fourth item, and that has to be, one of them was this backdating of a certification. Well, they were aware of it, and I think they were frustrated hearing it again because Dan Gendron had put it in the form of a letter with me, pointing these things out to them, and it did not seem to take on any priority. But I understand their frustration with that, but that's not a reason to quit. And the accusation that their integrity or independence was questioned, I think, is a misinterpretation of what was said. It was more about the frustration that came from one councilman who had a very specific question of the auditor, and the only response he got back first was from the mayor badgering him about asking questions, which means that the auditor, in receiving the question, shared it with the mayor or expressed to the mayor that it was being asked, and then the mayor came back to the councilman in true mayoral fashion from our most recent mayor, how she did business, and started harassing him about it. He lost faith in their ability to simply deal with us independently, which is the contract is with the council, not with the administration. So he got frustrated. He asked about whether or not she was influencing them, not whether they were influenced by her, but whether she was influencing them by her methods. And they took exception to that. So I characterize it as somewhat the current mayor acting in much the same way as the former mayor. It's frustrating to him. He's struggling with, new staffing and trying to get things done, and I can appreciate that. But like she would have done, when something goes desperately wrong, blame the council. Forget all of the underlying causes, forget everything else that's happening, blame the council. And that's the way this came across to me, is blame the council. I wasn't specifically involved in that dialogue that they say triggered this. But I sat there and I let it happen because I didn't think they were extremely outrageous questions that could have easily been responded to by the auditors, and I expected as much, but I certainly never expected them to quit over it, and that's why I say there's so much more involved. And for the mayor to come out and simply point at the council, I'm sorry, that is just smack
But
so much
John-
of the former mayor's style.
We don't have time for follow-up, huh?
Can I wait 2 minutes?
Sure can.
All right.
Don't let me forget what you were saying.
All right, let's take a look at the
I
forecast
got to worry
right now.
about forgetting.
And this weather forecast being brought to you by Progressive Insurance.
Gradual clearing today with a high of 81 degrees. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 54. Tuesday's weather, sunshine and 77. Wednesday, partly sunny and 82. Thursday, showers are 70% likely now, mostly cloudy, 74. Friday, a slight chance of a leftover shower in the morning from Thursday night's rain. Partly sunny skies the rest of the day with a high of 78. Saturday, sunshine and 74, and next Sunday, partly sunny and 74.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with partly cloudy skies. We have 75 degrees. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
If you are looking for medical care provided with integrity and compassion for all patients, choose Landmark Medical Center. Why? We heal body and mind. From heart care and wound healing to preventative care and services specifically for seniors in the community. And we provide the high-quality care you need close to home, in your own community. We also offer emergency care when you need it most. Our emergency medicine team offers care 24 hours a day, every day. At Landmark Medical Center, quality, compassion, community is what we're all about. To learn more, visit the website, landmarkmedical.org. Hello once again, everyone. This is Dave Richards. I'm on the floor at the Family Discount Furniture Store, now known as Coletta's Furniture. Why? Because Brad and Ryan Coletta have been running Family Discount Furniture now for quite a number of years and become a great success in the area. Now, at their new location at 598 Wood Avenue, they got 2 huge floors of all kinds of furniture. What are we seeing in front of right now, Brad?
Dave, this is one of our leather collections that we brought in for this new location. We weren't able to run it at the other location due to size. So over here we have plenty of room. On the showroom now we have 100% top green leather sets and collections to choose from. Several, whether it's reclining sectionals, or just stationary sofa love seats. There's quite a selection of leather, which right now is trending and very popular.
Whether you like the latest stuff or the good traditional stuff, you'll find it at the Family Discount Furniture Store, now known as Coletta's Furniture, 598 Wood Avenue in Woonsocket.
It is Coffee In on ON Radio. Thank you for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with John Ward, Melissa Murray, and Dave Richards. And Dave, you had a question for John before we had to go to the break.
Well, John, I'm just looking at this from a different perspective, and I'm saying, of course, as anyone who's held a high office knows, you can offer a reaction that maybe upon further reflection you might not have. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get an angle on Mayor Beauchamp's comments and saying to myself, the guy's got to be terribly frustrated because now here's another problem, and it's a biggie, and we're already in extension, and now we got to start from scratch with new people that don't even know our practices and the rest of that sort of thing. So you're looking at next year before you get an audit, perhaps. And so I'm saying to myself, it seems to me that if he had the opinion during the meeting on May 22nd that the council was kind of roughing up the auditors, if he had that opinion at that meeting and then someone in the news department asks him, well, Dee, what do you think about what caused this? Could you allow that he just react that way?
Well, I could allow it, except he kept repeating it.
Well, okay, that's your position. I wanted to know what your position was.
But
But am I right in thinking that it could be 2025 before this 2023 audit is seen?
no.
No?
I'm guessing that it will likely be, assuming that we can solicit a bid. And frankly, one of the things that this company didn't do with their frustration over the delays and having meetings with the Auditor General was, I didn't hear any discussion in here about the fact that we should have been billing you extra for all those extra meetings and all these delays where we start and stop and start and stop.
That would be natural.
Which would be natural. So to claim that the next auditor is going to cost us a lot more money fails to recognize that this auditor should have cost us a lot more money for all these delays and all the extra meetings and all the extra time devoted to the work. Because, you know, like with a construction contract, if they have to leave a job and then remobilize and come back and get set up, they charge you extra for it because that's just the way it is. Same thing here. But, as I said, there was much more to this if he had simply characterized it a different way by putting it in the context of all of the things that have led up to this.
Well-
You know, but to simply completely avoid the chronic lateness over the years and this particular situation where they're burdened with the regular meetings and such, and the fact that they're not getting the responsiveness, and I know he's working hard with the finance department to get them the things they need, and I appreciate that. But it was too simplistic to simply blame the council. It just
Yeah.
to me smacks of our former mayor's standard operating procedure. Is
That's
you know,
the part I'm not so comfortable with, just as a personal.
well, I'm not comfortable having seen it.
Yeah.
Really, it frustrated me to hear him come out and point at the council. I mean, he wasn't pointing at me. I didn't say anything like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
I get it.
he pointed at me for allowing it to be said instead of gaveling them out of order.
Yeah.
But a question out of order about
Job performance.
matters that these individuals were dealing with as questions to the auditors, and they simply asked for a response. I just don't know where the auditors justify their what I consider an overreaction to simply answering the question and moving on.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask.
All right there, Dave. Thanks. We do want to get to a note that's been called in, 766-1240.
How about those Red Sox?
A completely different topic.
lost.
No, it's not the Red Sox.
Did they lose yesterday?
They did, as
Yes.
a matter of
I know
fact.
they were ahead for the
Extra
whole
innings,
time.
4 runs
lost.
in
And then
the
they-
10th.
That's right.
They,
Yeah.
They lost
tied
eight,
it up.
8-4.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, in 10 innings. But the notes got
that's
to
too
do
bad.
with the verdict on Donald Trump that came down last week.
Oh, did we want to talk about that?
Well, yes. Of course, there's many mixed reviews from people, state reps, Democrats, etc., and also how many feel it will not have an effect on the November election. Republicans, and I tend to side a bit with the GOP, of course, they think it was all political. However, on one topic where the trial was held in the state of New York, purely a Democratic state, did that aspect have an influence on the verdict? Melissa. Yes or
Wait
no?
a minute. Wait a minute.
Lucky
No.
you.
Why did you point her out?
Because she hasn't spoken in a while.
That's true. You know, you either look. Our justice system is not perfect. We know this, but this is what we have, and so you either believe in it or you don't. You don't get to say, "Well, I didn't get the verdict that I wanted, so it was rigged and everything is broken." If that same verdict had come back in Texas, there would be some other reason, because it's always the whataboutisms with Trumpers, not Republicans. Republicans and Trumpers are different, in my opinion.
All right.
Think
Right?
so?
I do. I do.
Just like Democrats and woke are two different groups?
I don't know what woke is, but if you're talking about this is so frustrating. He's doing this on purpose. He's laughing at me right now. So, right. So there are extremists on the left as well, but Trumpers are like a whole different thing.
All right.
He literally could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and it would not matter. He is a cult of personality, and no, regardless of what happens, they're going to be his folks, and they're going to stand by him. They're going to say, "Oh, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. That isn't fair." Because you know what? For poor Donald Trump, life isn't fair, and everyone's out to get him. But this is our justice system, and I think, like I said, it's not perfect, but you either believe in it, or you believe in the many, or several hundreds of years that it's been in place,
All right.
or you don't.
John, do you believe that having the trial in New York had an effect?
Well, many factors. One is you have a person running for the office that they ran to on a promise of convicting him. And he won. And he went in and did it. They piled up misdemeanors to create a felony, which is kind of interesting. But of course, then they maintained the location as Manhattan,
Yeah.
which is like poisoning Trump out of the gate, which is all fine. It's all legal. That's fine, and I think Melissa gets it right. It's the justice system. I mean, there was the possibility, I always thought of maybe a hung jury, otherwise it's guilty, because he's in Manhattan, it's Donald Trump, and the prosecutor wants him badly, and clearly the judge was
Not a fan.
not a fan.
That's the way of putting it.
So, the thing about our system is that there's rights to appeal, and the appeal rights must be based on technical matters that are in the law. And so he has appeal rights.
We'll take at least until November, won't we?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
Correct.
It may.
Correct.
It depends on how far. It depends on how many times he has to appeal. If it's only once, it may not. Within this, because right now it's in the state judicial system. So I'm sure they'll file.
It takes time to go to the
several
Supreme Court.
appeals. Several appeals on. I don't even know if the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over a state matter,
Doesn't matter.
because even if
He
he
can
were
still apply.
But even if he were president, he couldn't pardon himself on state violations that he's convicted of. So, and Biden couldn't pardon him just because it's
Or his son.
former president. But in any case, he has appeal rights. The laws protect people from unjust prosecution and/or conviction, and so he
right.
will do what he does. But as far as how it affects the election, within 4 days, $58.3 million went into his campaign after that judgment was handed down. So, yeah, it gave him a boost, strangely.
Dave,
Yeah,
do you agree with
strange days.
Do you agree with Melissa and John that having it in New York really didn't have an effect on the verdict?
No, to quote our council president, this is something that the entire discussion, I think, is a problem, and I'm not going to participate in it
All right.
because it's simply politics, and so I shut it off.
All
It's
right.
just politics.
The irony is that they're calling it a hush money trial, but what was the reason that he paid her off? Like, he paid her off. Whether it did or didn't happen, we can
Keep her quiet.
speculate, right? To keep her quiet, to influence the election,
So she owes him
That-
$150,000 because she didn't stay quiet.
to influence the election that he claims is rigged. That's all. That's the only point I wanted to make.
No, that was another election.
Now, there are two jokes out there that
The
I
first
think are
election.
necessary to share. One is,
Correct.
oh yeah, Hillary Clinton's campaign did essentially the same thing with the Steele dossier, and they were only fined $80,000 and was never tried criminally. And then, and then the other one is, does Stormy Daniels owe him the money back now that she
Yes.
spoke out?
She does.
Dave just says that, yeah. So maybe she does.
He should be suing her for $150,000
Get that
plus
money
the
back.
cost of his lawyers
Yeah.
because she didn't keep her mouth shut after she took the money. I mean, that's obvious.
And that's
The
And that's
bro-
not even
so-
politics. That's
Yeah.
civil law. I mean, I paid you. There was a contract. You keep quiet. You didn't keep quiet.
I should get the
What
money
I
back.
paid you, you owe me back.
Yes, unjustified enrichment.
Right.
You agree on that, Melissa?
You know what? I think we've done this to death.
It's run its
Okay,
course.
fine. It's run its course.
Yeah, it's run
All
its
right.
course.
More coffee and coming your way, and on to another subject when we come back. Rhode Island's largest Honda, Kawasaki, and Suzuki power sports dealer is B&B Motorsports, formerly MTR Racing in Woonsocket. Over 300 motorcycles, ATVs, scooters, dirt bikes, and jet skis are in stock now. B&B Motorsports can service, repair, and maintain your bike too. And if you're in the market to sell your motorcycle, bring it to B&B Motorsports and they'll write you a check on the spot. Be sure to visit bbmotorsportsri.com. B&B Motorsports, formerly MTR Racing, 372 Social Street, Woonsocket.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
Hi, this is Leah Pfeiffer.
And this is Alex Kithis.
We're organizers on the planning committee for Woonsocket Pride, and we're so excited to invite you to the Woonsocket Pride Festival on Sunday, June 9th from 12 to 6 p.m. at River Island Park.
The day will be packed with music and drag performances, speeches, food trucks and vendors, tables for local organizations, a performance with the flags, and a ton of other activities.
Follow us at Woonsocket Pride on all social media to learn more. We hope to see you there.
You can depend on us for public service, ON Radio.
Coffee in on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards, Melissa Murray, and
Now,
John
before the
Ward.
break, you told us that we're coming back with another subject.
Yes.
What is that other subject?
State budget.
The state budget.
Yay!
Oh, that little thing.
$14 billion spending.
Wait
Billion.
until we were
Yeah,
going
with
away
B-
for the
with a-
weekend,
with a-
and then
With a
they
B.
passed it out
With
of
a
committee.
B. Billion.
Are you happy with that number, Melissa? Or is that
No.
No. Okay.
Should be 20 billion, and she's got a couple of
No,
other
no.
places to put things.
Well, I wouldn't have. It's a process, right? And I have
Yeah.
my voice and my hand in it at a certain stage, and then it goes over to the House, and then
Who knows what happened, right?
that happens to bills too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
your bill
Sure.
comes back, and all of a sudden it's different, and you're like,
What happened?
What? This is not my bill.
Well, there was a
Um,
lot of crowing on Saturday morning and late Friday night about the fact that the House committee passed out the bill. This Friday, they'll be going in, it'll be in direct conflict with our broadcast of the Woonsocket High School graduation. No consideration.
I'm sure they consider that.
Yeah.
Too.
And the Boroville High School graduation, the North Smithfield High School graduation, all the rest of this. Oh, let's do it now when nobody can show up because they're going to Kitty's graduation.
Well, they were only 2.5 hours late starting the meeting.
Only.
A few last minute deals.
Yeah, sure.
Did they have
I mean,
pencils in their hands or they have ink pens?
So I was waiting. My
Telltale.
Friday night was going to be, and it's
Watchdog.
right.
Yeah,
This
it's
is- I'm
out
gonna
of your
watch it.
hands. Do you want to watch?
I'm watching 5:00. That's when they're going to start the House Finance Committee. I sit on the Senate Finance Committee, so we gave all of our input. They went to the table, and it comes out in the wash. The education funding was restored, thank goodness. There were a couple other
Well,
things.
you worked really hard on that too.
I really, it became my number one priority, and I think to the detriment of some other things I was working on, but it was really important.
For starters, in Woonsocket, that means an extra $1.7 million for the school committee.
Restored. And
Restored,
then,
right.
yeah, restored.
Because it had been cut by the governor.
it was
In a
cut by
roundabout
the
way.
right. So the governor proposed a budget that had a $1.7 million cut to Woonsocket, a cut for North Smithfield and many communities as well, and that was restored. He basically futzed with the funding formula, which isn't
Which
great
everybody
to
says you
begin
should
with.
be doing, but he did it the wrong
No,
way.
in the opposite way.
Right, John? You said they
And
should fix the
it
funding
really hurt,
formula for
yeah.
years.
Yeah, right. It's true, and
So he tried something, but it didn't really work out.
it did not. And it also it caused a lot of stress to this community, to us as elected officials, and to teachers and to students, and it was not that it was unnecessary, but it was not a good thing. Was not a good thing. So there was a collective sigh of
So
relief.
that got reversed.
Got reversed, and it went
Plus
up
a few
to
extra bucks now
2.2.
for
Went from
non-English
yes.
learners.
Right, so went up to $2.2 million. So that was good. Another item that I was hoping would be funded got a teeny little bump, but we got something, and so now it goes to the House floor, and there'll be long, lengthy discussions. But I was
On
waiting
a Friday
on.
night where nobody can bother with them. And they're not going to be on the 11 o'clock
Well, they were
news.
supposed to, right.
They're not going to be all weekend long. People are only
let
going to
me-
hear the press releases they put out.
Right. Well, let me say this is that, I don't see many people sticking around for hours and hours and hours and hours of debate on that kind of stuff on a Friday night anyway.
They're counting on it.
But Friday night, 5
She
o'clock,
won't-
I'm like,
That's,
all right.
that's very collegiate of you
Yeah.
not to comment. Thank you. Okay.
Friday night is supposed to come out, so I'm refreshing. I'm on, I'm on Capitol TV, and I'm like, hanging out and listening to the elevator music or whatever that they play. 30 minutes later, still on. An hour later, still not on. An hour and a half later, still not on. I'm like, okay, I can't do this to my partner. Like, we have plans. I was saying, like, okay, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to listen to the preliminary, like, Article 8 specifically, which is education. Article 9, which is human services.
Then we'll have dinner.
And then I'll go over the whole thing later. Well, we decided to go out. We drove down to the beach.
Neat.
It was a beautiful night.
Wish I could
We
have
saw
done
the
that. Yeah.
sunset. We had a cocktail. I said, I have to do this. He said, I understand. I go to Capitol TV. They're still not started. So finally they do. And now all these people are around, and I have a cocktail in my hand and my phone up to my ear listening to the budget. And, I was one of probably the few, but it was important. I needed to see what they were going to do with the funding. So, it's a good thing. We can all breathe a sigh of relief, but it speaks to the larger problem, which is that the funding formula needs to be changed. And, I had a bill on that Thursday night when Councilman Thompson came to speak on behalf of the city of Woonsocket to implore them, the night before the budget rolled out, to implore them to restore the funding. I had a bill on that would require RIDE to look at that 40% in the formula to determine if that is appropriately able to fund our high needs students. We know it's not, but we can say that. But they need, okay, they say
Need
it is,
buy-in from
and
them.
we say it is, it doesn't. And so it directs them to do that and report back to us by October 1st. I put that bill in for 4 years, I believe. Never goes anywhere.
No. Okay.
Rye doesn't like it.
Yeah, I guess not. We did get a note that was called in, 766-1240. Kind of back to what you were saying, Dave. It does say to the panel, though. Caller says, there is no honor among thieves. All right. She, meaning Stormy Daniels, does not have to give back the money.
Serious?
Thanks for your support. It's just what the caller writes in. So.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a joke when I saw it. I mean, I don't expect she's ever going to give it back.
Yeah. Well, she needs to live on it.
Unless Trump sues her in civil court in a civil
Quite
case.
possibly,
Which
yeah.
I
Right.
suppose
Yeah.
he can. But then,
Okay.
then you have to get his witness, Mr. Liar Lawyer, to come in and talk on
Cohen.
his
Mr. Cohen?
behalf.
Yeah.
That'd
They're
be
not
tough.
speaking
That'd
to
be
each other
tough.
these days.
No.
Maybe
Be
yelling,
entertaining.
but not speaking,
Not
right?
recently, yes. All right. We got a few more minutes to go here in the Coffee and program. Dave and I talked about this earlier this morning. Just something you have to be aware of. Now, it's not really a big problem here in northern Rhode Island, but a lot of people down in South County, if you got a house along the beach like that, they like to have outdoor showers.
Right, so you don't
Get
have
the
to
s-
bring
get-
all the
get-
sand
get
and
the sand
everything
off you.
into the...
Well,
right.
this happened out on the Cape in Harwich. And someone had in their outdoor shower a mirror. Some people have mirrors, and that's just fine, except you got to be
The angle.
you got to know where you're putting the angle, where you're putting your mirror, because the sun hit the mirror and caught the house on fire.
Oh no.
And we're not talking a little fire.
Kitchen, attic,
$100,000 in
Yeah.
damage. This is a good
I
size
shouldn't
fire.
be laughing.
I know, but it is amusing.
Well, it's because nobody was home.
No one was
Otherwise,
home.
they would have caught it.
Nobody's hurt. That's right. No firefighters were hurt. It was ruled accidental. They don't think they did this on purpose. We even get the insurance money as we angle the mirror. So, but it's just a freak thing. So you just got to be careful the way you put the mirrors.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't everyone remember what the little magnifying glass and ants? I mean,
Yes.
which is terrible.
But it's probably been, like Dave said, it's probably been hanging there for years. Never an issue.
Right. It was angled
No.
one way or another way. And this particular time, it was angled up.
Or down.
And well, nothing happened a few days before that. Well, the sun was actually in a different place in the sky in its transit. Or you had more clouds that day. You know.
Poof. Fire.
Yeah.
So, what's going on in North Korea? They keep sending balloons
They figured out a problem to their trash
filled
crisis.
with trash into South Korea. And the balloons are filled with cigarette butts, trash, and plastic bags.
And
they're sending them over the...
human waste.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're sending it over the demilitarized zone. And you guys deal with it. Last week, North Korea sent about 260 balloons filled with trash and that stuff, and the balloons were sent in response to South Korea activists launching their own balloons that carried anti-North Korean leaflets.
Oh, there you go. It's a
Yeah.
it's a
You send us leaflets, we send you.
We'll send you
poo.
trash. We'll send
Yeah.
you
you send us pamphlets telling us what you're all about, and we'll send you
stuff.
balloons telling
Filled
you
with
what
trash.
we're all about.
Deal with our
I'm-
trash.
I'm losing it here because balloons are not specific precisely.
No.
Balloons are generalistic in their direction of where they're going to
Well, as long as the
go
wind's
when you
blowing
send
south.
them up. Well, okay, fine, north into south. So if that's where the prevailing winds are, fine. How does south get them to fly
North?
against the wind up to the north? Is my question here.
Summer breezes, maybe. I don't know.
Ah, there's a shift in the wind, as Gene O'Neill would say.
Yeah.
Better scientists. I don't
Shift in
know.
the wind.
Sort of like you did see Mary Poppins, right?
Ah, yes.
Long time ago.
That's right.
Magic.
It's magic.
So, John, did you take the flyover bridge yet?
Did I take what?
I have.
I have to.
Do you love it?
Over, yes.
Because I kind of love it.
146 over South Hill Road.
Yes, I did.
Isn't it wonderful?
He's not as
It's a
excited as
bridge.
we are.
It's the
It's
greatest
a
thing
bridge.
since sliced bread. Sliced bread.
Slice bread.
Sliced bread.
Well, it's only half a bridge right now.
Right.
It's interesting.
All right. Well,
Exciting? I don't know about
It was
that,
exciting
but it's
because
interesting.
I don't know about you, Melissa, but I went over it and I looked down to the right at the light and it was red.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled that I
Yes,
was going over.
yes.
And didn't
Yeah.
have to stop.
I know. It's
Now,
like
Saturday
it's
night
great.
we went over
It's
it.
the little things.
It is.
Saturday night we went over it, and it was an interesting thing. I could now see the cars in the back row at Anchor Subaru. Well, if you're driving by, you can't see it on the road, But here, from this lofty perch, you could look down and see all the cars.
I thought it was exciting.
I-
First time
I-
I went over, I was like,
yeah.
woo woo.
Yeah.
And,
I'm like you, Melissa. This is
and
great.
it's really nice and smooth like glass.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
been
Oh, yeah.
it's been
And-
more than 20 years, and the Court Street Bridge is still a doggone washboard.
And if you go over the flyover bridge,
I was designed that way.
Baloney,
be a
it was
washboard?
designed that way.
If you
I
go-
took, we did a live broadcast over that bridge as one of the first vehicles when they opened it up, and because we were on Social Street in those days, and so we went over, and I couldn't believe it. I says, "This is brand new. How does it get to be in this condition?"
what's good about the flyover bridge
Yeah.
is if you do hit the light red as you're going over the bridge, when the two streets have to merge again.
Yeah.
There's no one coming to your right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Ah,
Correct.
that's nice.
Isn't
too.
that nice? Or they're going much slower.
When I looked, I said, "Ooh, there's nobody there." I said,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
that is kind of
fantastic."
nice.
One more thing before we gotta
Speaking
go.
of Court Street Bridge, the council is going to be taking up Twilight on the Blackstone at their meeting tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm not involved this year. I stepped back.
All right. If you happen to be down in Washington D.C.,
Oh, an Army volunteer, huh?
if you happen to be in Washington D.C. and you pop into a bar, they've got several drinks related to Trump. You can get the Convict Cosmo, the Locked Up Lemon Drop, or the Felon Fizz.
What about Kofifi Martini?
That's another good one. I just have those three.
Well,
No, I need to go back a little bit because I didn't mean to poo-poo the dinner on the bridge. I'm actually excited this year because I'm actually going to be there as a guest, and I've coordinated this event for the last 5 years. And last
you'll
year
be
was
there with knife and fork.
I will be there to
Ready to
eat food that is still warm and get to sit with my family and my friends and enjoy the evening. And it's going to be great.
All right, fantastic. It's going to come up in
So-
August.
That is if
Yep.
the council approves of it
That's
tonight.
right. So it's up to you, John.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're going to turn that down.
All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank
I
you
know
very
one
much.
abstention.
Thanks for listening in. Dave Richards, thanks for coming in.
Hey, it's been great.
All right, and Melissa Murray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
John Ward, thanks for coming in as
It's
well.
been a pleasure. See you all at 6 o'clock this evening, or hear you all
Yes.
That's right.
at 6 o'clock this evening. Looking forward to it.
All right, very good. This is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day. Stay tuned for Leslie Page at the Library is coming up, followed by Food First with Karen Zangari next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now,